So why did I start taking classes at Idioma? 4 years ago, I needed to fulfill some requirements for my licensure, and I went online looking for some classes or some programs that had enough classes, enough variety of classes for me to take. And after a friend's recommendation, went to the Idioma consulting site and found exactly what I wanted. Enough classes, interesting, and I chose both a grammar class and then one that I was very interested in, which was art and architecture in the Hispanic world. When I finished that art and architecture class, I was floored. I had learned so much. I had been able to go from the beginning to the end of the history of art and create a lesson plan for a year in my classroom, and I was so impressed with the fact that the class had taken me to that point, and that I had been successful in being able to do this, and that it was so interesting to learn. And I, to this day, look back at that lesson plan and use parts of it in my lessons that I have now throughout all the different classes that I teach. And so I remember that as being the first memory of a successful class. I had never been able to, I had never had classes like that in my graduate school or in other classes I had taken, where I had been so involved and so interested and so invested in it. And I was so thankful that Idioma had, as I looked later, a whole lot of different classes like that. So I continued on. I was sort of hooked, and I continued on, and I found 6 other classes that fulfilled my licensure requirements, one of which was a class on film in the Hispanic world, which was not only fun, I got to watch videos, but allowed me to think outside the box. How was I going to teach differently in my classroom, something different than what I had already been teaching? And the class gave me that opportunity. And the second class that was probably my favorite class that I've taken in the series was about Isabel Allende, her life, her times, and also her writing and how they interacted together. And I finished with that class, and I was in awe of who she was as a person. But the reason was because I had been able to study in such a way her life and her writing, and respond in ways during the class that really gave me an incredible feel for who she was. And I credit the class for that. So I kept on going. I was done with my licensure, and I decided that I was going to keep on going. And I looked for a couple of other classes that I thought interesting, and one of them that I took was a writing class. Now, this was really hard. I'm a good writer, but in Spanish I hadn't had a whole lot of experience with writing at a master's level. And but the way the class was structured, the opportunities I had to read and to summarize and to analyze and then write in response to the different things that we had read, led me from a little bit of a lesser difficulty to something that was a lot harder, and I really struggled with at the end. But when I got to the end, I felt so accomplished. It was the first time I had felt that in so long. The fact that I could actually accomplish a task that was beyond my teaching, that was beyond what I normally would do, and it was such a feel good. And all of the classes since then that I've been taking, I have taken from Idioma, have given me that feeling. They're challenging, but doable. But at the end, you feel like you've really accomplished a task. So the last step in my process with Idioma, which is what I'm still doing right now, is working with learning how to bring proficiency into my classroom. About 2 years ago, decided that I wanted to start that process, and so I looked online what they had, and lo and behold, there they were, right with me. They had started a series of classes on beginning proficiency, learning what it was all about through ACTFL, and so I began at the very beginning. And through a number of different classes, I have gained knowledge in different ways, in different proficiency levels, in different aspects of proficiency that I now feel like I am fairly competent in the beginning concepts, which I wasn't 2 years ago. The culminating piece to that was last year was an in-person 3-day workshop where we had 6 different presenters bringing us through the process of proficiency, and it was just incredible. I remember not only the interactions between the professors, but the speaking in Spanish and doing that in Spanish, to all the 6 different sort of ways of looking at proficiency and ways of bringing it in my classroom, matched up with the master's level class that I took as an extension of that, brought me to the point at the end of the summer where I was actually able to walk into my classroom and start the process of changing my classroom over to proficiency. And I was so thankful, because I don't think I would have gotten there anywhere else. I don't think any other system or any other set of classes or any other degree would have given me that. These were the classes that they've chosen, and the way that they've added classes has given teachers the ability to pick and choose what they need, what they want, and really got me to the point where I was able to do that. And I'm amazed at that, and also very thankful. This year, the class was an online class, obviously, but again, took another 6 presentations to further my knowledge in proficiency and take it to the next step. So that's one thing I've noticed about Idioma, is that they're always thinking about what is the next step. What do teachers need? What is missing in the teaching community? What else can they put out there for teachers to use that are going to help fill gaps? And I've noticed recently that they've added some classes that give teenagers and high schoolers a chance to speak, where through all this COVID-19 sort of inability to have classes in person has lessened some teenagers' ability to practice the speaking, and so they're offering that. And they're offering just one class after another, interesting classes, all different types of classes. And so I'm very excited about the future, where now I want to go pick and choose another 5 or 6 classes that I want to take. And I think that is the power of Idioma. I think that's the joy of taking classes there, and that is what they have put out there. And I would recommend anybody to look at the website and look at what they have to offer, and know that you're going to get a great experience if you take their classes.